We are live. Welcome. Week 31, EPL across the pond. The Premier League preview for this weekend and also last weekend's games as well. It's just me right now. It's just me, Chris. That's me, Chris. Gary's took a bit of time at the minute. If you watched the show last week, he was very, very productive and very vocal on his Hugger Hotspur campaign, where we were concerned. That's right. We were concerned about if you knew a Spurs fan, if you knew anybody out there that was going through a hard time at the minute, think they'd not won a game in 8 games. And we started the campaign, or Gary started the campaign last week, and it didn't quite go to plan, unfortunately, as they got an injury time equaliser against the mighty Liverpool, which kind of derailed their Champions League push at the same time. And on the flip side of that, there was a couple of dodgy calls last week from Mr. Gary. He predicted the game of the week would be the mighty Leeds versus Crystal Palace. And I believe that came in at 0-0. We're hoping Gary can join us in a minute. Again, we are live on EPL Across the Pond. Welcome. Hey! What's up, fella? He's got his shiny new top on. Living the dream.
I love this top. I'm all over this top.
It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
Is it legit?
It's not. Yeah, it's not a Sydney snide. It's from the property. It came in. Yeah, it came in today. It's all right, isn't it?
Mum's not been down the market.
No, my mum hasn't been down the market. He hasn't been down the market. Listen, all right, okay. Let's get it out there straight away.
I'll stand back a little bit. I'm gonna have a little sip of me water off camera, and you. I'll let you do your little presentation.
I just got me. I got the little bit of a feel for what you were saying then. So, all right, okay. I have a habit sometimes of getting excited. I thought it would be a laugh. I underestimated Spurs. I overestimated us, which I've been doing all season, and it's come back to bite me. And let's be honest, Chris, I saw my ass. I saw my ass, and it didn't work out. And Richarlison, of all the people, came back to haunt me this weekend. So I apologise to Tottenham fans. But I will say this. I'm going to put that campaign is going to be up there again sometime. That campaign could come back next week.
Let me ask you this, though. When that was going through your head, did you realise what the fixtures were before you launched it? Or was it one of those you were midway and you were like, shit, I've made a mistake here. That's not probably the right thing to do.
I kind of got in a rhythm. And then the more I was doing it, the more I realised that I might have been in trouble. So
two things I've never done in football: never pick players of teams that you support for your fancy football team, and never bash a team, whatever they're going through, if you're about to play them, because you know that's going to go one way and one way only.
I know. Well, listen,
we've got Spuds on Sunday. That's why I kept quiet when you were launching that, because I'm that's a possibility that Spurs could pretty much relegate Forest or get them on the track for relegation on Sunday. So I'm not saying zip till after the game's done.
I know. And I made a good point about it. Like, there was no chance of me hugging a Hotspur because my missus is a Spurs fan herself. Hence the collection that I've been, the extensive collection of Tottenham training shirts.
Your choice. Was that your choice tonight?
No, I do like that colour though. It's not a bad one. But yeah, no, I do apologise, and it won't happen again. I'm going to keep my mouth shut for the next at least 5 minutes. The only other thing I will say, there's another apology coming, and I think this one's worse, if I'm honest. The amount of backwards and forwards pecking at each other that post has caused. We've had over 300. I reckon, honestly, between Facebook and Instagram, we have had over 1 million people view that reel of us talking about the grounds that no longer exist. And right. I was adamant that there was 11. I was adamant that Goodison was a red herring because it still exists. And it turns out...
You got one wrong.
It turns out that Ayresome Park, which is Middlesbrough's old ground, never hosted a Premier League game because they weren't in the league until 1996, I believe. And at that time, that was when they moved into the Riverside. So Ayresome Park is not on the list. So it is only 10. And that, I feel like, is a bigger apology purely because of the fact that we've had so many people, well, tell us the answers then. And then people back and forwards in the comments. That's bollocks. That's bollocks. Goodison's bollocks. So... yeah, soz about that as well. I'm not being sorry. I'm not being sorry for the other one.
It's a relatively new show, Gary. We're learning. In the words of Elvis, we're taking care of business. We're doing the best we can. The sponsors haven't kicked in yet, so we can't fact check. We don't have a team of people behind the scenes. It's just Gary and I. But we also work full-time jobs, and we do the best we can. We're both husbands. and we've got, we just do what we can while we can. Right?
We've got responsibilities. Is that what you're going to say? Then you've got 2 kids, and I've got a crazy dog, and that's nothing to do with my marriage. All right,
you're really going for it, aren't you? You're really going for it.
I'm just going to be sat in this box, aren't I? This broom cupboard for the rest of my life at this point. All right, so listen, let's get serious this week for 10 seconds. Here we go. She's here again. Okay. Yeah, thanks for that.
Just shout out before we do as well. Again, I forgot to mention at the start of the show. If you haven't followed us already, I don't know why you wouldn't do it. Check us out. YouTube, see all the latest videos live. We're live on YouTube and Facebook when we do these things as well. If you haven't done, again, follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We'll throw all the little clips from the shows up there, little backwards and forwards. We may have a few extra clips as well. Drop us a DM if you want to chat with us, if you want us to feature anything on the show, talk about us, say hello to anything. That's Gary. I'm Chris. We're New Jersey and Michigan via the ways of Liverpool and Manchester. We're here for you guys. So drop us a DM. Give us a follow. Well, it's Wigan. Most people don't know the Wigan, do they? The Warriors.
It's funny. Well, funny enough, I got cited in an article the other day. Wigan-born Scouse bred, which I'll take that. I'll take that. But yeah, it's right though. Yeah, it's right. It's right though, isn't it? I mean, listen, if you've got an opinion and you want to say something, it's going across the bottom there. Just fire it into the chat. Don't have it be the same people. We've had a couple of guys chip in with some decent questions over the past couple of weeks. It keeps the conversation going. If there's something you want us to talk about, bring it up. If you've got an answer to one of the questions, bring it up. And again, if you're in a situation, if you're in a place and you want to tag us in it at EPL Across the Pond, and we can get back. If you know somebody or you yourself want to come on as a guest, reach out to us.
When you said you were in a place and you were worried about, I thought you were going to go back to the Hugger Hotspur campaign then. But we are here for you if you're going through a hard time with your team and whatnot. Listen, my Forest spent decades outside the Premier League in wilderness, and I could have done with a hug at those times and stuff. But might be back there soon. You never know. So if you need a hug, drop us a message. We'll give you a virtual one and all that kind of thing. Big shout out to our boy Kev in New Zealand. Been the king of the shows so far for Kev. Hopefully we can see him tonight. And big shout out to our boy Kev.
It's been good. The more interaction we get on these shows, the better it is as well. And I know there's a couple of people that people have jobs and life gets in the way. But if you do get a chance, pop yourself in the comments and we'll have a bit of a backwards and forwards. All right. Speaking of backwards and forwards or lack thereof, last week's question went down like a lead balloon.
I think it was too dead hard.
It was, but I mean, listen, I know it's proper dead hard, but the question last week was name the 10 oldest remaining football grounds that still host games in England's top 4 leagues. Now, I'm going to go through them quick.
That's too hard.
It is hard. It is hard, but you've got to. Someone did comment and got 4 right straight off the bat.
Got 4, yeah.
But you have, and this was current as well. To be fair, you had Field Mill, which is Mansfield Town's ground, where
played there.
The Stags played Arsenal last week in the Cup. You've got the Racecourse Ground, which is Wrexham, which is the oldest international football stadium in the world. You've got Bramall Lane, Sheffield United. You got Deepdale, Preston, 1875. You got Rodney Parade. I thought this was a hard one. Newport County. But then you've got some others, ex-Prem ones. You got Stamford Bridge.
Yeah. Chelsea
moved in 1905. You remember I think it used to be a dog track, didn't it? Or a running track.
Dog track, yeah.
Then you've got Ewood Park, Turf Moor, St James's Park, Portman Road, Anfield, which was, of course, home to Everton first, and then Liverpool moved in 1892, I think. Ooh. And then you've got Goodison Park. Well, no, there you go, because Goodison Park. And then you've got, that was it. So there's more than 10, but because some of them are at the same time. This week, I feel like it's a little bit more gettable. This is a bit similar to the first week. But I'll give you the answer at the end of the show. I'm going to get you the question now, and then we can kick into the week, right? This is the question. Name the top 10 South American goal scorers in the history of the Premier League.
Oh, that's a naughty one. That's a naughty one.
I have fact-checked this current up to the middle of February this year. So I don't think there's been much fluctuation. So the players...
Is that insinuating there's some current Premier League players on that list?
Potentially, yes.
Ooh, you don't give that's why it's Gary's and Chris's proper dead hard Thursday night quiz.
Yeah, you don't get any. You don't get it. There's no gimmies in this game, Chris. There's no gimmies.
There's one obvious one on that list, but being a being from the red part of Manchester, I won't go there.
And obviously being one of the most iconic commentary moments in the history of the Premier League. Yeah, that's an easy one. But that's the first one. So in theory, name 9. Yeah, oh my, that was horrible. That hurt my heart, that goal. All right, okay. Well, I'm going to fire the answers up to that at the end of the show, but we're going to get into this week anyway. So do you want to go through the games that we thought first? Because I was flying last week, you know. I had lock of the week was Arsenal.
Right.
And the young lad, to be fair, Everton hung on for a long time and Everton were in it for a long time. Then they brought the youngster on. And all of a sudden, he's heavily involved in the first goal, and then he's ran the second goal in from inside his own half.
Didn't panic, so calm under pressure. You know what I mean? He's just, how many players would have hit that? Or how many players would have just knocked it by him and tried to run by him for pace? It was almost like, it was just, I'm just going to drag it, run on, boomf.
Yeah.
Quality finish. Quality. What have you got the stats for his actual age?
He is 50. Oh, hang on a minute. That's a great question.
The other question I could think of as well, he's not the youngest. Do you know who the youngest was? Because they interviewed him today, and I remember when that guy was playing, and he's not aged well. I'll give him that. I know he might be watching the show, so I don't want to say too much.
So it just says Max Darman is. He just said he's 16. I can't think of the actual. Right. If anyone knows, fire it in the comments on his actual age.
The person who actually is the youngest was about 15 days younger than him. I'll let you know if you can get that one as well.
Who did he play for? I got no chance.
Ipswich. Then went to Spurs. Jason Dezelle.
Oof. I'd never have got that. In a million years would I have got that.
He was on one of the TV networks today or yesterday. That hard life.
Was that one of those games, though, this Arsenal game? Was that the game where you're like, right, they've won the league now?
I think so,
Just the way that it went in. Like the Liverpool-Tottenham game last year, where obviously it was mathematically impossible for anyone to catch us, and it was done. But given the way that went, and obviously we've seen what happened after it with the West Ham Man City game, do you think that's the game where
I do, yeah. We talked about it offline afterwards, because it's kind of a bit of a shitter with City playing the later game. It just puts that added little bit of pressure on it, doesn't it? Because if Arsenal's drawn or lost, City can go into it a bit more relaxed, saying, well, you know, a draw's not the end of the world. We're still in it. But if they'd have got some, you know, going on with that extra game, when they drew that game, I'm like, that's the league now. That literally is the league, because I think they're going to play each other. And if City have got a game in hand, but if they win that game and they get the game in hand, they're still 3 points behind. And we're running out of games now. And Arsenal, you know, people will say it's the most boring team to win the league and there's no real excitement from that team and everything, but they're winning games. And it goes back, I keep chiming on about teams of the 90s and the noughties, the Uniteds. When United was so good under Ferguson, they win games 1-0. They win games when they probably shouldn't have deserved to win it, or could have been a draw normally. They win the games. And Arsenal have been winning games. They're not flair players. They're not, you know, there's no one in that team that's breaking crazy stats. They're just winning games, and they're keeping the pressure on, and they're pushing it away. And it's weird how the fixtures are, that these teams never seem to play at the same time as each other, do they?
Obviously, well, again, that's the television side of it as well. But yeah,
so it's like one team's always going to have a little bit of pressure. And if, let's say, City have played first and City get the win, do Arsenal play Everton in the same kind of atmosphere, in the same kind of relaxed feel, that without pressure on it, kind of thing? So I think that's it now. I think, you know, obviously they play each other in the cup final on Sunday, the League Cup final. But as far as the league goes, I think that's pretty much done and dusted. The question is, Gary,
go on.
What can Arsenal win this year? Because they're still up for the quad, and they look pretty solid in the Champions League. What can they really go on to finish with this year? For a team who's the superstar? Declan Rice, you know, what they got. I don't know. So that'll be the question maybe for you and I afterwards.
Speaking of McKelvey's here now, top 10 South Americans. He's about 5 minutes late, isn't he? The question for this week, mate, and you can go in, name the top 10 South American goal scorers in the history of the Premier League. That's for McKelvey, or Mark over there, if he can get himself in. But you know what? I would argue, if you look at the goal scoring charts, and like to your point then, Gyökeres is like, he's only about 5th or 6th, and he's the highest goal scorer in the league with 11.
He's not playing. He never starts.
But that's what I mean. Like they're just contributing as a team. I think it's too much for everybody else now. Now I was flying at this point because I had Arsenal as my lock of the week, and then I had Newcastle as my shock of the week. Now I know it wasn't a massive shock given the fact that Chelsea and Newcastle are quite close together, but it came off, and it was 1-0. I mean, listen, Chelsea. I don't know. We're going to get to it as well. We are going to talk about Chelsea a little bit tonight because they've got all sorts going on, but. Between the manager and huddling around the ref and everything else that's in there, and not to mention
stuff that's coming out now as well.
Not to mention the money stuff as well is bonkers. But you did have City as your lock of the week.
I did have City as my lock of the week. Yeah, I did.
And that game, I mean, I watched that game and City absolutely battered them in the second half. But West Ham, to be fair to them, they stood up.
They just held off, and like we talked about, Leeds a couple of weeks ago that. They're just picking the points off, aren't they? They're not winning games. They seem to have stopped winning at the minute, but they're just getting points. And it's that fight, the race at the bottom is just no one's kind of getting a breathing space. No one's pulling away. You've got the gap between Palace and Leeds, which is 7 points. And then from Leeds down to West Ham, it's 3 points. The only thing that's really going against West Ham is the goal difference at the minute. But, any one game, any one of those teams can lose 3 or 4-0 in a game, and then it's back on again. I think it's going to go down to the wire. This weekend's going to maybe make a few changes with Forest playing Spurs, but it's so tight down there. But you know what? What I love, we talked about the first show we did. I love this time of the season because it's make or break time, right? There's always gaps that start to break between the top part and the bottom part and stuff. But it's so tight for the first time where there's potentially, seven teams that could go down. Yeah. Normally at this time of the season, there's maybe 4 or 5. Last season, it was pretty much done by January. And then you could argue at the top, obviously, Arsenal are kind of running away with it now. But then what's the battle for 5th if that's the Champions League spot? Brentford are 4 points off Liverpool in 5th.
There's some big games this weekend, and we're going to get to them, aren't we, with the games that are coming up? But there are some games this weekend that can really put a spin on the top and the bottom of the league and the European spots. It looks like now, it kind of looks like England have got that extra Champions League spot,
right?
With the coefficients. I think the 4 points, whatever that means, the 4 points ahead of the closest country, and so it's one of those where. I say we'll get to it in a minute and we'll see what happens. But you had City. You did call this one Man United 3, Villa 1, game of the week.
Yeah, I did call that. And that was, again, I think the difference at the minute, because everyone's going about Carrick. Is he the right man? Is he, all that kind of side of things. And when you've only got one game to play a week and you've just got, focus on getting your best 11 there, taking one game at a time, you've got no distractions of European football, FA Cup, League Cup, whatever you want to look at it as well. It's kind of an easy thing for Carrick at the minute because there's no real pressure on it. Let's say it all goes, upside down and they finish 6th. It's not the end of the world considering what he took over and, what they've done and what they've shown to come in and stuff. But Villa are a little bit in free fall. I think they've lost the last 3 league games now. But you're still going to win those games. And United are the form team in the Premier League and they're putting fight for it and stuff. And we talk about this all the time. The other teams are up there, the stop, start. Liverpool will come out of nowhere to really get to 5th. Chelsea will win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game. Villa in free fall. City are kind of still got the gap between 2nd and 3rd. So I think United are pretty much locked on for 3rd. It's fair to say that now.
Do you know what I think as well? I don't know if we talked about this before, but do you think now everything's about head coaches and the control from above? And we've talked a little bit about this as well. Like you look at the stuff at Liverpool now with Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes seemingly controlling what's going on around the club. And you've got Arne Slot as a head coach. And it's clearly, it's clearly hitting the skids or there's controversy there, right? Do you think there's still a place in football for a manager to come in and arm round players and get people on side and manage the personalities and let people play? Because my point is, you've had Amorim. There's no question Amorim's a good coach. There's no question Ten Hag is a good practitioner. They know football. Arne Slot knows football. But the messages that I hear and the things that I hear about all of it is like they cannot communicate with these players. They cannot see the human side of it at times. And I just wondered at Carrick, given his playing background and the fact that obviously he's got ties to Man United and he's learned under Sir Alex Ferguson and he gets it. Like, do you think there's a place in managing or in coaching for that again? Now is almost as if, because you know what things are like. Everything goes full circle. There's always something like, Christ, we weren't talking about corners and set pieces 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We're talking about free-flowing football and this, that, and the other. Now it's like, ping it in the box. That's the argument why teams are struggling in Europe. So my point is, everything goes full circle. Is it starting to come back round again, whereby, hang on a minute, this head coaching thing, there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Is it worth it where we just have a guy that comes? And I'm not saying Carrick is completely doing that, but he seems to be managing that squad a lot better than anybody else who's been there for the last probably 5-6 years.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell he's a people person. You can tell he's working with the individuals. He's talking to the players one-on-one, where I think it was obvious to see with Amarin, it was like, it was my way or the highway, right? You go with my system. If you don't like my system, I'm not going to get you involved. Kobe Mainoo was the prime example. He was the kind of the lamb to the slaughter under Amarin. You know, a guy that was one of England's best players for the last couple of years, been awesome for United. All of a sudden, he can't fit in this system with a new way of doing things and adapting to a plan B. You know, I don't know if you and I have talked about this, but I've definitely talked about over the years with the old style mentality coaches or managers that they were, that, you know, your Brian Cloughs, your Kenny Dalglish's, your Alex Ferguson's, that were the kings of yesterday. Would they survive in today's day and age with chairmans and sporting directors and all the rest of it? You know, United have got their setup right now with, you know, Jason Wilcox choosing what players coming out the team, and these are the guys we're going to bring in. We're under the illusion, maybe as fans, where it's like, you know, a manager will come in and say, this is the kind of player I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone who can either hold the ball or, you know, give and go, or quick on the turn, or can play on the last man. And then these directors of football or these, you know, coaches or scouts or whatnot will go out and look for those players and bring them in, but they have to make them work. My take is on football managers or coaches these days, it's a result-driven industry. If you're winning football games, nobody cares how it's done, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, whether they're talking to the players or not talking to the players. If you're picking up results, it wins. If Arteta all of a sudden ends up with this season without winning anything, I think he's gone. But if he wins the league, he buys himself another 3-4 years as the Arsenal manager, regardless of what happens next year or the year after that. I think Slot's been a prime, you know, a case in point for that this year. Last year, you might know more than me, he seemed untouchable, you know, invincible. He was the future. The one thing that, I've gone off on a tangent now, that came up the other day, they were talking about when...
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
That's another one. Like, that's the thing. Like, that Martin O'Neill has gone back into Celtic.
He came back in.
Celtic will win the league this year. Celtic will win the league this year. And it'll be because of Martin O'Neill. But
he struggled at Villa. He struggled at Forest because that kind of old way kind of style of coaching have gone. To go up on my Liverpool story, something I read the other day, like Klopp's first season at Liverpool, I think 6 months in, or it was either 6 months in or after the first season, they gave him that 6-year contract and basically said, this guy's the future. Slop's done his first year, he wins the league, he didn't get a contract extension. Yeah. So that tells you something's not, even though he won the league easy last year, that tells you something's not quite right behind the scenes. And you've kind of seen that unravel a little bit this year, maybe. That's my take on it, you know, as a neutral and stuff. You obviously see a little bit more, but from the coaching perspective, you've got to fit the mold and the systems, and you've pretty much got to be a yes man now, haven't you? And
well, that's it.
You're held accountable if it doesn't go right. It's your fault.
And there's too many. Yeah, I think there's too many people that don't know enough, or like, you know the numbers and everything else about football, but there's not enough people who can actually be in touch with the players. Right. And that's why I think, like, and clubs, and it's so funny that clubs like, and again, we'll talk about Celtic because Mark chipped in on it. You talk about Celtic, they had Ange Postecoglou, he did a fantastic job up there. Then they get Brendan Rodgers back, who clearly alienates people. He did it at Liverpool. He did it at Celtic the first time. He did it down at Leicester. He went back to Celtic. The same sort of thing happened. And I know there's other things behind the scenes at Celtic as well. But the reality is, and then all of a sudden they bring in a guy who they just know he knows how to talk to people. Yeah. And he's 75, is Martin O'Neill, isn't he? Yeah. Like, but he just knows. And he's got...
You see him on the pitch when it kicked off against Rangers. He's in the middle of it.
Yeah.
He's
it's
in the middle of
brilliant.
it, like calming it down and like pushing it apart and stuff.
Yeah, he just understands. He just gets it, and like, you know, he can talk to the media. He doesn't get riled up. It just settles the players. Whereas I don't, like, you look at Liverpool the other day when the players come off the field and we go, we don't know what's going on, and I'm like, well, you know, why not? Like, why don't you know? If you've trained all week to play a game of football and then you don't know what's happened,
that's
that worries me.
Maybe that's another show in itself. Like, what is the difference with Liverpool this year to last year? I know that, you know, a couple of players came in and changed and whatnot, a few different new faces and stuff, spent a lot of money, but why does it not work? Because if you look at it and say, well, everything worked last year, it's got to be the manager, you know, the new coach comes in and he's brilliant, he's carried it on. It's the same coach this year and it's completely different from last year.
Yeah. That's tangent central and something that I'm not prepared to go into because I've got all my theories and I'll just get torched. And this is not a Liverpool program; it's another one. Right. So we will wrap up the weekends because again, you know, we have a habit of just flying through this stuff. But I said Leeds Palace would be a cracker. In my defence, the first 5 minutes, Leeds missed two big chances. Someone at the bar, and then Calvert-Lewin missed the penalty right on half time, and I'm just like. Everything that could, and then that crazy sending off, second yellow when the ref forgot it was a second yellow. So it had the makings of it, but it just didn't happen. So again, I saw my arse again on that one.
Scores, and then you Carlton.
I should have picked the Brentford Wolves game on Monday. That was a belter in the end.
Yeah,
Wolves came back again.
Wolves, I thought, had chances to win it at the end as well, and that would have been, you know, a couple more wins on the bounce and stuff. So yeah, Wolves undefeated in 4 games now, flying.
Yeah. No, they really are. All right, okay. Is there any other games you really want to pick up on? You've had Forest, the shock of the week.
Yeah, nothing really there for last week. I think, again, the United game was a great game. Arsenal did it. No, that's it. Let's move on to next week.
Let's get going. Let's move on swiftly from Forest and the offside of someone's arse, basically. All right, here we go then. This one for you. Chelsea double standards with the financial fair play punishments, and then Liam received. I don't even know where to start with Chelsea at the moment. Like this whole thing about the financial irregularities and they pay an agent, so they got fined 10.75 million. And people are saying, well, the financial irregularities. What about Everton? What about Forest? What about Leicester? Yeah. So I did a little bit of digging on it, and the thought is, it's classed as a different thing. So the Everton stuff is because it was directly buying players to gain a sporting advantage. Same with Forest, same with Leicester. They class it under a different thing. And I don't necessarily agree with it, but I'm just saying this is what it is. Technically, this is what the official term is. For Chelsea, it's paying agents and offshore bank accounts, and that falls under the FA and UEFA. So the fine or the punishment for that is a fine. But when the big problem comes when you compare it to Luton back in 2008, who did the same thing, and they got punished points. So everyone's saying, and everyone's saying, yeah, but when Bowley and this, you know, Blue Man Group or whatever they're called bought Chelsea back in 2022, they fully disclosed everything. But that's what they're saying has got them away with it. But I just don't know. There's more. I think there's more to it than meets the eye. But it does seem like a double standard, doesn't it? When you look at the likes of Everton, obviously Forest for you, but Luton as well. Teams that maybe can't just shell out 10.75 million.
You know, we might lose our sponsorship from the Premier League here, but my own personal controversial opinion, and again, that's just the opinion of my good self, I think the FA and the Premier League will do everything to defend their so-called top 6, because if anything happens to those top 6 teams, it's bad for football. And it's bad for the brand of the Premier League. And what I mean by that, and this is my opinion, but maybe not Gary's or anybody that's putting on the show and stuff, the Premier League survives on investments, sponsors, financials, that kind of side of things. If they are deemed to punish any team in the Premier League with a certain high entity of a value dollar market, it is bad for the brand of football. So how can a group of sheikhs come in and buy potentially Liverpool or Manchester United or cities they already have done as well? It's bad for business. They don't necessarily care too much about the teams that are 7 and downwards because they're replaceable. It's been shown since the Premier League started. Your Sheffield Wednesdays, your Lutons, your Ipswiches, your Leicesters, they can go up and down. It makes no difference to the global brand, which is Premier League football. I also have the opinion, maybe I'm just, conspiracy theory as well, that if Tottenham were to get relegated this year, the Premier League will put a points deduction on Forest or West Ham. Similar case that Chelsea have just been done for, just to keep Spuds in the league, and it's good for business, right?
Yeah, all right. We are moving on swiftly from that before we get cut off. But we will stay with Chelsea. Liam Rosini is becoming the David Brent of the Premier League, isn't he?
It's Comedy Central. We'll have to get some Chelsea fans on it, because I've got a few that I diehard before the Abramovich money came in, the old Ken Bates days.
Yeah.
They're still Chelsea fans through and through. And it's like, what must you think, being a Chelsea fan, to come through the likes of when Glenn Hoddle came into the club, Hullet, Vialli revolutionized it, go through the Abramovich years and whatnot, to see the state of the club now, of where they are in today's world, getting, the manager they've got in place, it's almost like, he's got those dodgy bins on like yourself, but it's almost like, just keep your mouth shut. Say we played well, or we didn't play well, or, we'll work on this, we can do better here. There's an idiot's guide to football managing sayings, right? Keep it really simple. Don't do anything daft. Don't do anything silly. If you get spanked, you get spanked, and you just move on. Well, we're going to work on this, and we'll come back Saturday and we'll have another go. But it's just on and off the field now. On and off the field with Chelsea.
Well, the whole thing about, like, you've got the he's going, yeah, we've obviously got a rat in the squad and he's leaking teams, and
we know what the rat is. That's obvious.
You sure you want to go there again? We're being very litigious today. We're going after people a little bit.
Okay, when Manchester United were getting their teams leaked under Ten Hag and under Amorim, and they suggested who it was, player gets sold, and all of a sudden the team leaks aren't coming out of Old Trafford anymore.
Mm. Hey, listen. So people can put one and one together there, can't they? Then? The other one for me is, why on earth do they have to have a huddle in the middle of the pitch?
Was it protecting the ball? What did he say?
It was a unity. It was a sign of unity and togetherness, right? And he said in his press conference, right, we don't want to antagonize anybody. We're not meaning it to antagonize anyone. Well, what the hell is it? The ref has to stand in the middle with the ball, and then they huddle around the way. Did you see Cole Palmer, mate? By the way, I'm going to go out there as well. I'm going to go on a limb here as well. Cole Palmer's one of the most overrated players in the Premier League.
Stats don't lie.
I'm telling you now, throw that one on Instagram. I don't care. I'm not apologizing for that one. There's a reason why Man City got rid of him. One of the most overrated players in the Premier League.
We should do a stat. Name a player that Pep's let go that's gone on to greatness consistently for more than 5 minutes.
Mm.
But, listen, you talk about the huddles. I think the majority of teams now, whatever league, do a huddle, right? Most teams do a huddle. Forest do a huddle. United do a huddle. But they all do it in the same part of the pitch. They do it halfway between the edge of the D and halfway between the semicircle. Bang in the middle of the half. That's where every team does a huddle. I don't know what it was in his right mind to go and say, you know what, we're going to go on the halfway line. We'll do it in the center circle. We'll do a huddle right there.
Yeah.
If you're a player and you go to do it and the ref's standing there, you'd be like, hang on, lads, let's just go over here and do it over here. But no, they put it's I'm not going to go into Chelsea because Forest is still going to play them this year, but you could go on about Hugger Hotspur. I'm worried about what the state of Chelsea Football Club is at the minute.
I'm also worried that I'm not going to be allowed into Mulligan's in Hoboken anymore because Paul Dawson's a massive Chelsea fan, and a lot of the lads who I drink with in there are also Chelsea fans. So, but Cole Palmer, well, you just listen. If you're a gambling man, just back Cole Palmer to score a hat-trick this weekend because I've just torched him on the show. Exactly. All right. Okay. Quick one before we move on to the fantasy football and then our locks and shocks of the week. Should Bruno Fernandes be in consideration for Player of the Year? He got his 16th assist the other day on Saturday, and he's now got 16 assists and 7 goals on the season. And he's got the highest amount of goal chances created as well with 95.
Did you see the grid? That grid they showed about where everyone else was down here and he was like up here for chances created. 100%. 100%. His stats are just crazy. He's played in some of the worst United teams, in our lifetime. Imagine if he'd been in a City team or, Liverpool team, his stats would be off the chart. One of the things that came up the other day about, well, he's not going to win the league. They're not going to win the league. Gareth Bale won Player of the Year and Luis Suarez won Player of the Year in teams that didn't win the Premier League when they won it. His stats are off the chart. You know, you talk about Arsenal. Who in that Arsenal team is kind of like breaking stats and the one to watch? You know, when City won the league, there was several players in there. That Foden was great, Haaland was great, Silva was great. Arsenal don't really have that kind of like flamboyant star. Fernandes has carried that United team for years now, and this season he's just been another level. He really has. So it'd be crazy if he didn't win it based on the stats and what he's done this year alone.
Yeah. Here's one for you, quick one. Does Bruno Fernandes? Who does Bruno Fernandes replace in that 08 Man United team?
Maybe Hargreaves. Hargreaves is the only one from the start in Champions League final. Maybe Hargreaves. I know Hargreaves was mustard back then, but you know he's not taking out Tevez, he's not taking out Rooney, and he's not taking out Ronaldo. So you probably have to put him in the middle. So I'd probably say Hargreaves.
Yeah, interesting. All right, okay.
Wes
what else
Brown.
have we got?
There you go. I'll take Wes Brown.
Wes Brown playing right back or playing right centre half.
Yeah.
All right, okay. So we'll go on to fantasy football again.
I'm just going to sit back and relax.
Kind of for your point, right? Like I should have put the team on the screen. If I'm honest, I didn't do it though. But this is the team they've got this week, and I've actually got some of these players. So if I tell you I've got them, just avoid them like the plague because they're not going to do anything for you. They've got Lamans in goal for United. They're playing Bournemouth this week. Van Dijk.
Friday night
Yeah.
game, I think, yeah.
How do you pronounce the lad at Newcastle? Tiaw. The big fella at the back. Tau.
All
right, okay, we'll go Tau. Him.
Him.
Anderson from Fulham. Then they've got four in midfield. Fernandes. They're playing Bournemouth this week, tomorrow night.
Yep.
You've got Anthony Gordon against Sunderland. He's good for a penalty this week because that's going to be an absolute bloodbath, you would think.
That's Sunday, right? Sunday game.
Yeah. They've got the guy Dango from Sunderland playing Newcastle. They've got Harry Wilson playing Brentford, Fulham at home.
Good shout.
João Pedro, Everton. You never know this. You know, he might get one there.
Right.
Jarrod Bowen against Villa. I haven't got him in my team. So if you want him, get him in. And then Thiago, who started scoring.
Villa are going to get a result sooner or later.
They were class today, you know. Did you watch them today?
I didn't watch them, no. I was getting over the Forest penalty thing.
They were excellent. Today. Second half, they just blew Lille out the water today. So, yeah, last week I got 65 points, though, in fairness. So, and you've also got to remember that Arsenal, Man City, Palace, and Wolves aren't playing this week because of the conflicts with the League Cup final. So you've got to be careful who you put. This might be the weekend to play a free hit if you play fantasy football, the Premier League fantasy football. That's what I've done. I've played a free hit. But again, if I've done it, that means there's a chance that it won't work.
I'm waiting for your locks of the week and you're shocked.
Well, I've got a couple of questions for you before that. Does it hurt Palace and Wolves? I mean, Wolves, we know Wolves are kind of done anyway. But does it hurt Palace or Wolves by having the week off?
No, because I think Palace right now, and we've talked about this before, I still think they're looking at next season now. I know obviously that, you know, they've still got in Europe and whatnot, but obviously there's going to be a new manager there next year. They must have a ton of money in the bank with all the sales they've made. Where they're going to go, you know, financially are they going to bring players in? How many players they're going to bring in, or are they just going to, you know, swallow the money and stuff? But I don't think it hurts to have a game off at this time of the season because players are generally fatigued, right? It's getting towards, it's been a long season. There's probably been a lot of breaks for more teams ever than this year, I think. But with those now, it's like pretty much most squads in the Premier League, everybody is involved at international level of some way, shape or form. So I don't think it does hurt to have a game off at this season.
Does it put a little bit of extra pressure on it, though, because there's going to be an international break now? This is the last week before the international break. So my point being is, so if you're a Palace and say Leeds get points this week, Tottenham get points this week, all of a sudden Palace get dragged in, it's just that little bit of doubt for a couple of weeks now. What's going to happen when they come back? I mean, like you said, probably not, but it might be a good time to rest. But a lot of these lads are probably going to be going off and playing in for the countries, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they've just come back from Europe tonight after a extra time win in Europe, so they're through to the next round of that, and then they've got Fiorentina, I think after the international break, or the two bids. Yeah, so they've got got a little bit of a rest, but they can recharge the batteries and, having a break, focusing on the next game and figuring it all out. I think they'll do them good, to be honest. It must have been tough, going away in Europe on a Thursday night, playing extra time after you've come off the back of a weekend Premier League game. It's nice to have, an extra few days rest off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we'll just go to our games then quickly. I'm going to go this week. Got Bournemouth against Man United. I'm putting that as my shock of the week.
You think Bournemouth are going to do it?
Friday night on the South Coast. Yeah.
Spring is in the air. My shock of the week, I was actually going to go for Brighton.
Do you know what? I could see that as well. That wouldn't be a shock to me, if I'm honest.
No, because it's a tough place to go. I think Brighton at home, tough place to ground, and Liverpool, that they're not quite consistent at the minute, are they? Not quite there. They're winning games, not losing games. And it's a lunchtime kickoff in the UK. And I looked at all the other games, and I don't think there's any games that really would be a shock if they went any other way. So I said that. I thought, why not go for it?
Fair enough.
Liverpool.
Game of the week, I've got Newcastle Sunderland.
I've gone to Newcastle Sunderland, then Forest Spurs. Just what's at stake at that game?
It's huge, isn't it? I mean, I know ideally for you, I know in our house it'll probably be more leaning the other way.
I'd take a draw. Spurs had their little the kicker, and we talked about this yesterday or off air. Spurs have now got a win. Granted, it's in Europe, and it's there's still 8 league games without a win. But that win and the extra day's rest. Now Forest playing extra time tonight. That might be a little bit of extra for Tottenham if they can cope with the pressure at home, because they've struggled at home this year.
Yeah,
just got a feeling that's going to be the turning point for Spurs. I think they only need if they beat Forest on Sunday, that creates a 4-point gap with a much better goal difference, and I think that might be just enough to at least put them above, finishing above Forest.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, I have Villa as my lock of the week against West Ham. Because West Ham, I just feel like West Ham have got to go for him, and I think Villa will pick him off on the break. They've got some pace on the break. Leon Bailey, they've got
McGinn's back now as well. McGinn had been out for a while.
McGinn, he scored today. McGinn, they've got him. They've got Sancho. They've got weapons as Villa. Hart, what's his name? Forward Watkins. They've got Morgan Rogers streaking forward as well. I think they've got options going forward. I think it'll be a problem for them.
Yeah.
You've also got Fulham at home to Brentford, Everton, Chelsea, and then Leeds, Brentford. Again, Leeds could put themselves well in a really good spot if they can get a win this weekend at home to Brentford.
Yeah, Brentford's really nothing to play. Well, you say nothing to play for. They're 4 points off Liverpool.
Yeah, I know. That's how crazy it is. Like both ways. It's there's very few teams that have got nothing to play for, whether it's hanging in there or just whether it's a European thing. With Palace, or whether it's hanging on for relegation
what does the league positions go down to for Europe? Could it go to 7th or 8th?
Oh God, yeah. Well, if it's 5th for Champions League, you've got to think, and then they'll get an extra Europa League place back because it's Arsenal and Man City in the League Cup final.
Mad, then you could take Crystal Palace in 14th, and they're 4 points away from finishing Europe. Yeah.
I don't think everyone's got something to play for. Like, that's what I mean. I think, and even Farker said it today for Leeds. He said they need 8 points. They've got 8 games to get 8 points and to get to 40. And I think you're going to need 40 this year to stay up. I really do. Because I think there's teams around them that are winning.
My lock, I don't want to say, but I think Spurs. I really do. I think Forest tonight would have killed. I think tonight would have killed Forest. Traveling back from Denmark on a Thursday night, playing extra time, which you didn't want to do. Spurs had a relatively easy win, the other night. I think that confidence will just keep rolling. I think Forest they'll be panicking a little bit on Sunday, and they still can't score goals. They had enough chances tonight, and they still went to extra time.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, we've got our ones up there for this week. If you've got any ideas or you think there's something else, again, it's firing across the bottom of the screen. Have an opinion, fire it into the comments or get into our DMs on the socials. As always, like and subscribe at EPL Across the Pond. Before we go, I've got 2 things for you, mate.
Ooh.
So we had our proper dead hard question, which was named the top 10 South American goal scorers in the history of the Premier League. Now, I've got a comment in my back pocket here, and I have a feeling he's very, very close to getting all of them right. So what I'll do is I'll pull it up on the screen, and then we'll go. I'll pull up what we've got on the screen. How many So you had the one, you had the obvious one. Any other names off the top of your head?
Goal scorer South America, Jesus. Who's the fellows at Chelsea and Arsenal for years? I'm thinking longevity. Willian. Aguero's the obvious one. Luis Suarez. There's going to be some obvious. I haven't really had a chance to think about it. It's gone up. Go on, whack it up.
All right. Okay. Here we go. So
meet Bobby. Yeah. Oh, it's one of those, isn't it? You sit down in your pub and there's one you miss out.
Yeah. When you get it, you know, like you. So you've got Sergio Aguero, Tevez, Firmino, Jesus, Suarez, Alexis Sanchez, Gus Poyet, Richarlison, Coutinho, and Willian. Right. This came in at 8:53, so it was 20 minutes ago from Mark. That wasn't it. That was it. Richarlison, Firmino, Suarez, Jesus. The only one he didn't get. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
He's got 10, but Janino's not one, and Poyet's. Oh no, Poyet's on there.
No, he's got Nunes and Janino should be replaced by Alexis Sanchez, but he's got 9 out of 10.
Good shout,
which is not bad going. That's not bad going at all. All right, I've got one more thing for you. One more question. I'm going to put it on a poll, but I haven't got it written down. What's more of a shock? What would be more of a shock? Tottenham getting relegated this season or Leicester winning the Premier League in 2015? I'm going to put it out to a poll. It'll be a mixed bag, but
what do you think? What would you go with if that was put to you?
I'd say Leicester.
I'd say Leicester too.
And the only reason I'd say it, and I don't want this to be a sway, is that you never saw it coming. With Tottenham, you've kind of seen it coming a little bit. But again, for a team the size of Tottenham to go down would be shocking enough. But
we've also seen over the years, Villa have gone down, Newcastle have gone down. There's been some big teams at West Ham have gone down. You know, there's been some fairly big-sized teams that have gone down. Whereas the Leicester thing, that you always say it'll never happen again, but you never say never. But it just clicked, didn't it? Everything was perfect for them. Other teams were going through a bit of turmoil and rebuilding and gathering. And, you know, I mentioned before, I compare that Leicester winning the season, kind of how United are now. They're just taking one game at a time. They're out of all the competitions. Because back then, you know, City, I think United winning, I think it was Arsenal and the other teams, they were all in Europe and fighting for the FA Cup and whatnot. Leicester were out of everything, or they weren't even in Europe. They were just taking one game at a time. They had a great starting 11. They had no subs, a crappy bench, but they had a really, really solid 11. And all they had to do was get those 11 players fit Saturday. And if you remember that season as well, I don't know what crazy percentage was, but the majority of Leicester's last 10 games were all 3 o'clock Saturday kickoffs.
Interesting, that, isn't it? It's almost as if they wanted the Premier League to be won by Leicester. But we've had enough controversy on the show tonight with one thing or another. I've stitched myself up numerous times. You've got more libel accusations than God knows what. We probably might not be on the air by this time next week, but we do appreciate everybody watching. We do appreciate the comments. Cheers, mate. You know what, mate? You were so close. You were so close. Alexis Sanchez got you in the end. I'm surprised he put Darwin Núñez, to be honest, but I think he was just trying to be nice. But yeah, it has been good.
When we redo that, we'll post it with an asterisk if there's players that are still playing in the Premier League on there.
Oh, yeah, we should do that. Yeah, we should definitely do that. But listen, good shit. It was close. 9 out of 10 is not terrible.
Good to see you, Gary.
Yeah, you too. I'm glad I got the Tottenham thing off my chest. We'll be back next week. EPL across the pond will be back on Tuesday with Rival Bros with Timuchin and Edip. Myself and Chris will be back for World Cup Wednesday, and then we'll be back in the seat again next Thursday for the EPL preview show. We might be talking about something a little bit different given the international break, but we will be there, so we'll see you then. Nice one.
Good night, guys. Have a good weekend.